What are you going to do? If you come out of this quarantine the same way that you went in, you failed. You failed. And I don't care if you're already living on purpose, already diving for your dreams. If you didn't go 10 steps higher, you failed. Because there's nothing but time, space, and opportunity for you to do what you were called to do at a greater capacity.
What's up, podcast fans? Todd Durkin here. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. And today, you're in for a real treat. Wait until you hear Ira Davis and the Chief Dream Diver talk about fulfilling your dreams. And before I get to that, I want to just say thank you to all of you who are listening in. We've had a record number of emails and DMs in the last several weeks, just sharing gratitude for what you're listening to. And my team and I are grateful for you listening in from all over the world, literally all over the world in the midst of this pandemic that we're still doing. I just want to say thank you for your comments. I read all of your emails, all of your DMs, everything coming in. Right now, I've been saying, we got this, hashtag, we got this, and talking about worry less, and serve more. Now is that opportunity to make sure we continue doing that. Have you ever thought about how sometimes there are people who come into your life just at the right time? Well, today's guest, Ira Davis, did exactly that. And it was just about 2016 that I was actually driving down the interstate, I-5. I was just done recording NBC Strong, and I get this phone call from Ira Davis about filming a documentary on myself. And I met him, and he'll share this in the episode today, but he wanted to do an episode on a documentary. And lo and behold, that started a relationship where he actually ended up doing some really deep coaching for me over the last several years, which actually transitioned me after Strong into doing my MindRight Maniac series, the entire MindRight Maniac movement, as well as even my newest Get Your Mind Right book. The Get Your Mind Right book, and many of you have read the Get Your Mind Right book, so thank you for that. But Ira Davis is a man who's impacted me greatly, and now I know that he's going to impact you in this episode. Now check this out, his bio. Ira Davis, a former Marine Corps drill instructor, is the founder and CEO of the DreamDiver Company and 412 Studios. The DreamDiver Company is a transformational media and coaching company, and 412 Studios is a documentary production company, both designed to help aspiring pioneers, visionaries, and world changers discover their purpose and dive for their dreams to impact the world. My friends, buckle up today. You are in for a real treat. And I want you to share today's episode, because let me tell you what, you are going to be coming out of your seats. If you're running, if you're out for a run, you're going to run faster. If you're out for a walk, it might go into a jog. If you're lifting weights, be careful you don't go too heavy, because this one is guaranteed to get your mind right, to inspire your heart, and to light your soul up. So without further ado, let's go out to my good friend, Ira Davis, and known as the Chief Dream Diver. My friends, we have the one and only Ira Davis in the house. Ira, what's happening?
TD, what's up, baby?
Man, it is so good to speak with you today. And let me tell you what, folks, so you know, you are getting someone who has significantly impacted me for many years now. So I didn't tell you I was going to talk about this, Ira, but when I was driving back from Strong, way back in the day, I had just finished filming NBC Strong, now on Netflix, and I get this phone call from Ira Davis, and I was like, hey, I'm a friend of Darren Sproles, and I've got this new documentary company, and I want to do a documentary on you. I'm like, tell me more. I still remember I was in San Onofre. I was driving from Malibu to San Diego, and I'm like, I like this guy already. And if you haven't seen my documentary, it's actually Ira Davis and his company that filmed that. And then, and I don't want to steal the whole thunder of the show, but Ira, these people need to know, when it came down to the MindRight Maniac, the whole movement and all those videos and my team who helped me, it was because of you that all of that started, including the book. Do you remember doing the whiteboard, and we were on the whiteboard and we're mapping it all out? Ira Davis, guys, you are in for a treat today, because Ira's a man who what you see me now doing, part of it is the strategy behind what he has helped me with. So I just want to say thank you. And I'm pumped to share you with my community as well.
Man, listen, I'm excited. Listen, I'm just a vessel. That was all God's doing, man. And I'm super, super happy for where you have gone since the time we sat down and worked together. You have blown this thing out of the water, man. So I'm excited to be here with all the MindRight Maniacs, baby.
Yeah, I love it. So, I know when I talked about in the intro, a former Marine Corps drill instructor, I want to talk about that. Would you share your story with our audience? Like, how did you become the chief dream diver? And I know it happened as a result of your military career abruptly coming to an end, but can you please share that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, listen, I was a Marine for 10 years. I was a United States Marine for 10 years, and right around the 9-year mark, I became a Marine Corps drill instructor, which, if you know anything about the Marine Corps or your movies, I was the guy wearing the big crazy green hat like Major Payne or like Gunny Arlie Ermey on Full Metal Jacket. So I was making Marines. And so while I was on that duty, man, I wound up getting relieved of my duties for going too hard on the recruits. And what happened was I got relieved of my duties. So in other words, there it is, baby, there it is. Yeah, I Todd, there it is.
If you're listening to the podcast right now, Woo! You don't see me, but I've got my drill instructor hat on.
Oh, baby, you bringing back some memories. So listen, so I wind up going too hard on the recruits, and I wind up getting kicked off that duty, Todd. 2 years in, it's a 3-year duty. 2 years into that duty, I wound up getting relieved of my duties. I got sent back to the Fleet Marine Corps. And at the time, the war in Iraq, Afghanistan was coming to a close. So Congress had told the Marine Corps, hey, you got to get rid of people. We don't have the money we used to have. And the Marines are the first to go, right? So I wound up getting relieved of my duties there, came back to California. And I had 3 years to really rebound my career in the Marine Corps. Had never been in trouble before, ever in my career until that point. And 3 years, I won every award you can think of. Marine of the Quarter, NCO of the Quarter, Marine Corps Martial Arts Instructor. I won all of these awards trying to rebound my career. And 3 years later, when it came time for my promotion, I got passed over for promotion. Because there was a mandate out, there was an order out that, hey, if any Marines have any negative paperwork, I don't care if it happened this year or 20 years ago. When it's time for promotion, let them loose because we got to meet a quota. So my paperwork came back and it said denied for promotion to staff sergeant. And you have 3 months to pack your bags and to exit the Marine Corps. And so it was at that point, man, when my life really flipped upside down and inside out. I had no savings account. My degree wasn't finished. And I had no idea what I was going to do, but I had a wife and 2 kids who were counting on me to provide, to lead, to guide, to mentor. And I want you to imagine your whole life is tied into a system, the military, right? Paid on the 1st and the 15th. We're living on base. My entire existence was wrapped into this process. And so to give somebody 3 months to reconstruct their entire lives is mind-blowing. So I hit depression. And, it was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to deal with. And so what I did was I went to go to a therapist on base. And I sat on that therapist's couch for about a week and I cried my eyes out, just like I'm sitting across from you. I'm 5'7.5", 5'8", buff black dude at the time, crying like somebody just, killed my cat. And I said, Doc, listen, I'm a grown man with a wife and 2 kids. And I got 3 months left to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life. I have no skills. I don't want to get out of the Marine Corps and do what I've been doing. I know I was put on this earth to do something bigger than what I've been doing. I can't get out of the Marine Corps and be just another number. I know I was put here to do something great, but I have no idea what I was born to do. Can you help me? And so, Todd, we talked for about 4 or 5 days. And at the end of that week, he came back to me and said, listen, Sergeant Davis, in my personal and professional opinion, I believe that you were put here to inspire people down to their bones to go after their dreams. He said, I don't know what that looks like for you, whether it's writing a book or speaking, but I encourage you to leave my office today and figure out what that is. And so I left his office, Todd, went and sat in my car. I'm a man of faith. So I sat in my car right outside of the therapist's office and I cried my eyes out and I said, God, what this therapist just said to me opened up some light bulbs, some things started going off in my head when he said that, God, I need you to help me take it from here. And it was in that moment, man, I spent my whole life. I was 28 years old. I had spent my whole life feeling less than, feeling average, knowing that there was something bigger for my life, but there was no physical expression in my life of what that is. You know, most kids grow up, you're fast, you can shoot the basketball, you're a musician. I had no tangible expression of my greatness, but I knew it was in there. And so it was in that afternoon that God just began to pour out who I was to me. Like he was introducing me to me. And man, from that point forward, my life began to turn drastically. It was like the blinders fell off. It was like, hey, Ira Davis, let me introduce you to Ira Davis, man. So that's how I became the chief dream diver. And you know, the story is deeper, but that's the beginning of it.
So I want to talk about in a moment being what does it mean to be a dream diver? But I want to just step back from something you said. You say you hit, the depths of despair, depression. How bad was your depression? Like, was it a few weeks long, a few months long? How did it impact your life? How bad was it?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. It was to the point, man, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. Because you can imagine, man, there's so many elements that you have to take into account when your lifestyle is about to change. So I was dealing with a lifestyle change for my family. I was dealing with a career move. I was dealing with manhood as a father, as a husband. I was looking at my education. I was looking at my bank account. I was looking at the last 10 years of my life that I had invested into what I thought would be retirement. But here's the thing. The scariest thing of it all was not even any of that, Todd. The scariest thing of it all was I never knew what I was put on this earth to do. And the Marine Corps was willing to pay me to hide out. I want everybody to hear that. I was comfortable being uncomfortable. They would pay me to follow orders. And now my camouflage was being pulled from out in front of me. My camouflage was being pulled. And that was the thing that really made me hit rock bottom, because now I had to deal with the fact that I could no longer hide from discovering what I was put on this earth to do.
Wow. Well, thank you first off for digging down deep and getting out of that hole. And it lasted how long? Would you say that depth was a period of months?
Yeah, no, I would say it was at least a year. It was at least a year or so, because I had to process the fact, first of all, why do I feel this way? What can I do to get myself out of this?
Yep.
I can't stay here. And as you know, man, I eventually became an entrepreneur that owns, 2 businesses, but it took a while to get to that point. So it was a process of getting out of that rut, not blaming everybody else, right? Recognizing that I had a lot to do with it, understanding that this was a divine appointment. So yeah, man, it took probably, I want to say, a year, if not more, to really fully recognize who I was and why this was happening.
Yep. So let's talk about dream diving. What does it mean to be a dream diver?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't mind, let me explain where that came from before I explain what it means. So as I was getting out of the Marine Corps, and God began to reveal to me who I was. Hey, you're a transformational leader. You're creative, right? You're a visionary, right? Which means if I give vision, people can see it before we even create it, before we even put it on paper. I have a way of speaking that can rally the troops around what needs to happen in order for the dream to become alive. So he said, listen, I'm going to put a camera in your hands. I'm going to give you a platform to inspire people to go after their dreams. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but cool. At that time, I was making cute little videos for family and friends. And so I went out, man, got my first job with NFL Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson. He hired me, man, to make a doc about what he was doing on base for the kids. Next thing you know, a week later, I get a call from NFL Film saying, hey, we're doing a day in the life of Eric Dickerson. We'd like to license some of your footage to be a part of that, right? So this trajectory happened probably in like 2 or 3 weeks from that therapy session. Next thing you know, I get a call from Mary, the Grammy Award-winning gospel group. Come down to the studio. We want you to do some behind-the-scenes stuff, man. So he just kind of kept steamrolling from there. And keep in mind, this was all still within the 3-month period before I got out of the Marine Corps. So I went from broken to God beginning to rebuild my life quickly, right? I was being introduced into circles that I didn't even qualify to be in at that point. Like before I touched the field with Eric Dickerson, the most I had done was film the birthday party, right? That was the extent of my filmmaking skills. And so God was saying, listen, I'm taking you somewhere through this process. And so right about that 2-month mark, my leaders in the Marine Corps said, hey, listen, Headquarters Marine Corps don't know who you are. They see you as a number, as a name, but we know you. You're the best Marine NCO that we've ever led in our entire career. At this time, they're like 20, 25 years in. We want you to run and lead a course for the first level of Marine Corps leaders called the Corporal's Course. We want you to create it from scratch. We want you to lead it. We want you to guide, mentor. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I'm up early one morning preparing for the first class, and I'm on YouTube looking up some motivational videos. Had no idea what it was, right? Who comes up first? Eric Thomas. Who comes up next? John Maxwell. Who comes up next? Les Brown. Who comes up fourth? There's a skydiving video. And I'm like, okay, YouTube, what kind of algorithm is this, right? How do we go from Les Brown to skydiving? So I sat there and I watched it. It was 2 a.m. I was in my closet, which was my office at the time. And I sat there and I'm watching. I started getting short of breath. And I'm like, okay, God, why am I getting short of breath like I'm in the video with these guys? I pull back, Todd, and I pray. I said, God, what's going on here? And he said, listen, this is the mantra, the philosophy that I want you to teach the world about diving for a dream that's bigger than themselves. And I want you to call it dream diving. You can't hit a target that you don't have and that you can't see. So when you jump for a dream, you're going feet first, which is dream two. Can't see where you're going. When you try to climb the mountain of success, you can't see where I'm So he said, I want you to teach people that they have to go to 13,000 feet, get their feet off the ground, and dive headfirst into the dream that I've shown them. And while they're in the air, I'm not leaving them alone. I'm attached to them in that dream dive. And so I was like, okay, God, at 2 a.m., he pretty much gave me the basis of what I would be doing for the rest of my life. And so we took that and wound up creating a production company and a coaching company. But what is a dream diver? A dream diver is a purpose-driven individual who is willing to dive headfirst into their God-sized dream to impact the world. Point blank. Not people who want to tiptoe in it to see if it works. Not people who want to take a leap of faith. Hey, God, if this works, I'll stay. If not, I'm going to leap out. Not people who want to just jump, get excited about what they've been called to do, not do any preparation, not get their mind right, not get their soul right. They just want to jump straight in, and they wind up aborting the dream and the purpose for their lives because they haven't prepared, they haven't done the heart work, the mind work. So a dream diver, somebody says, is I understand my purpose, I understand my dream, I'm going to do the preparation, I'm going to execute head first, keeping my eyes on the dream, on the target. Nothing matters. I don't care what's happening on the left or to the right of me. I don't care how much it costs me. I don't care how much I lose. My life is connected to this dream, to this purpose, and I'm going to stay the course, period. Doesn't matter who walks away. Doesn't matter who comes in. It doesn't matter if you pay me $1 million to switch course. I am staying on target for what I'm supposed to be doing to impact the world. So that's what a dream diver is, man.
I'm getting fired up all over again. This is incredible. Folks, can you see why the heck I like Ira Davis? Love this guy. Absolutely love him. Man. And matter of fact, Ira, can you share? I mean, I know how we became friends and developed a close personal relationship, but I'd love to have the audience hear from our perspective of, you can probably get a little taste of Ira Davis's energy, but also the mind behind this man and how convicted he is to help people with their dream. But Ira, share from your perspective how we started our relationship.
So this is the craziest thing, man. God doesn't make any mistakes. And I believe in the phrase, right? Big dreams require bold moves. So when I first met Todd, I was assuming my videographer role. Right. And so sometimes we have the right skills in the wrong industry. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes we have the right skills and we're in the wrong industry. We're out of place. And so I was filming a documentary about Darren Sproles and his youth empowerment camp that he used to do. And I got the chance to interview Todd. I was a big fan. I was a big fan of Todd. I got a chance to interview Todd. He had no idea who I was. I was just a video guy. Right. And so we wound up connecting, and I wound up sending him a clip from that documentary. And he was like, man, I love your work. Can we work together? I gave him some prices. Maybe the price wasn't right. So we kind of fell off at that point, but still stayed connected. A couple of years later, when I actually stood up my actual production company, 412 Studios. I called Todd, like you said, when he was on his way back from NBC Strong. Crazy coincidence, because you were off the map for a period of months.
Literally.
And I just happened to call you
Literally.
while you were on your way back. And you said in your mind, you were trying to process, how am I going to get my story out as people begin to ask the question, who is this crazy fired up guy on NBC Strong? Right? Like, God doesn't make any mistakes. And so I wound up saying, hey, listen, I'm working on something special. We want to come in and do a spec documentary on you to see if we can kind of get our process down. And Todd was like, who, when, where, who, what, when, where, why, let's get it done. And so my team came in at the time, and we told that story, which now lives on your Todd Durkin website. I think it's at about 14,000 views on YouTube, doing well. Everybody was in it. Darren, Dr. David Jeremiah, your wife, your kids, Jules, man, we had a great time. And so we wound up doing that film. And then you called me a few years later and asked how I was doing. I think you had just lost your in-house filmmaker, and you were looking to ramp up your team. And you asked me if I could come on board the team to be your in-house filmmaker. And this is where the rubber met the road for me. In my life, God was transitioning me from being a videographer to being a filmmaker, director, producer, to being a coach and a speaker. And I had to make a crucial decision. Do I tell Todd, yes, I can come in and shoot these videos and be out of place? Or do I tell Todd who I really am and what I do, not only behind the lens, but without the lens? And so, Todd, I never shared this with Todd, but I had to make a critical decision to walk away from what I could do to step into what I was born to do. And I call that the principle of could versus should. Most of us are doing what we could and can do. Very few of us are doing what we were born to do and what we should be doing. And so I had to walk away from what I knew you would probably pay me to do, to step into the unknown of this is who I actually am. And I had to approach you and say, Todd, I'm not the videographer you think I am. I'm a dream development coach. And this is what God has called me to do. And so we were able to get together and do some amazing things. And so that's how our relationship evolved, literally from me being the guy in the back of the room to be me being the guy who's on the podcast now, right? And so that required a crazy amount of faith for me to say, you know what, I got to walk away, as you say in your book, I had to walk away from good to get to the great that I knew that I was destined for.
Yeah, and I remember that conversation because, folks, if you think back, and that was probably 2017, 2018. This was before the MindRight Maniac series had started, and I was looking to create some more of the kind of daily, at the time, like the daily vlogs like Gary Vee was doing, and have that. And I remember talking to you because you were looking for work, and then when we got deeper and deeper in discussion, you had that discussion with me. I was like, wait, what? And we had a really deep discussion about your dreams and about what you want to do. And you asked, could you put faith in me to coach you, because I don't think you're tapping into everything that's there based on what you're telling me what you want to do. I can help you even more so. And that was kind of like that come to Jesus moment of like, you know what? I'm going to give this guy a chance because I felt your energy, passion, and wisdom. And you're like, but I'll solve your solution. I'll go out and find you a videographer. I'll go out and find you someone that can help you with your social media. I'll help you strategize about it. And you don't have to hire me forever. I'm going to coach you for a certain period of time. And I want to get that out of you. And then you go do your thing. And boy, oh boy, that's what we did. And I remember up on the whiteboard at Fitness Quest 10 of you, I remember those light bulb moments. We came up with the book, Get Your Mind Right. We came up with the MindRight Maniac series. And Ira, you're the one that was like, TD, you're doing the dose of Durkin and all that. But let's get the mindset in there. And we developed that complete strategy. That was 3-4 years ago now. And that was the beginning of even what I'm doing now. Ira, you said it. It's the book and the podcast. And we're almost here at episode 100. And I'm not sure why the heck I waited so long to get you on. But like you said, God doesn't work in mysterious ways. And the fact that, you've helped me so much with everything that you have coached me with and allowed me to tap into my dream. And I just want to say thank you again.
Bro, thank you. This book, you know, I know you're interviewing me, but this book blessed me so much. And I want to say this to everybody who's listening. The one thing that I told you, Todd, from day one when we started coaching together was the world needs to meet you from the inside out. And you were already doing a phenomenal job, but there was a part of you that was missing. And so when I read the book, when I watched the MindRight Maniac episodes, when I listened to the Todd Durkin Impact Show, your heart is on full display, not just your skill set, it's your heart. And that's what most people who are purpose-driven entrepreneurs, you know, high performers are missing in their special sauce. It's their heart. That's what makes you different, man. In your heart, I mean, you dipped this in your heart. This book was dipped in your heart, man. And to see how you shared your faith, man, to see how you shared the most intimate moments, powerful. And that's the main thing that I came in and said, Todd, it's time to show your heart. Period. And that's what you've done over the last 3 years, man. And the result in a major book deal and so on and so forth, man. So I'm super excited to have been a part of the journey.
So would you say that's the greatest barrier to people discovering their deepest divine purpose and as you would say, diving for their dreams? What do you think that barrier is?
The barrier is not recognizing who they are. It's that simple. Most people are walking around not recognizing who they truly are, right? Because up until I had my epiphany moment when I was getting forced out of the Marine Corps, I had no idea who I was. I literally was me, but didn't know I was me. And so a lot of times we are playing beneath the capacity for our lives because we don't recognize who we are when we walk into the room, right? Todd Durkin, thermostat versus thermometer. You don't know who you are when you walk into the room, right? It's going to drastically cause you to devalue the greatness, man, the intangibles that you're walking around with. Now, I think, first of all, people got to recognize who they are. Number two, they got to recognize that there's a shift happening in their lives. There's a shift happening, and most people either do one or two things. They suppress it and move on with their lives. Meanwhile, they're experiencing internal bleeding, right? Bleeding of the soul, of the spirit, right? And what happens when you bleed internally? You're smiling on the outside, but on the inside, your heart is breaking. Your heart is breaking, and nobody can render aid because it's internal, right? And so, you know, motivation, inspiration, if you don't then take it to transformation, becomes a Band-Aid for something that needs surgery. And so most people have to go from recognizing, man, this is not where I'm supposed to be in my life. I'm not supposed to be working this job. I'm supposed to be over here. I'm not supposed to be an employee. I'm supposed to be the purpose-driven entrepreneur. I'm not supposed to be an employee. I'm supposed to be the athlete, right? Most people are out of place and out of pocket in their lives. And so they keep this repetitive cycle of saying, well, as long as I get enough money to pay my bills, go on 2 vacations a year, I'm good enough to stay in the game, man. And God is calling you from being good enough, man, to being greater than the former version of yourself. So number one, you got to recognize who you are. Number two is you have to recognize that there's a shift happening in your spirit and you have to do something about it, right? Don't just recognize that you have a shift and stay there. That's like going to the emergency room for a broken arm and leaving without letting the doctor look at you. But that's what most of us do. We go to church with a spiritual injury, and we leave without ever getting a fix or doing any work for it. And we keep showing up week after week. We keep listening to the podcast week after week, but we never move. We never raise our hand and say, I'm ready to make an investment into myself.
So how do you do that? How do you make that change? And how do you make the change end? Is it you don't know who you are, or you know who you are, but you don't have the courage to be the person that you're designed to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to accept the fact that you can't go back to where you were. You have to accept you have to get to a point where enough is enough. You have to get, and most people, it doesn't matter how much inspiration or motivation you consume, most people will not change and transform until their back is against the wall. Yep. Until the pain becomes great enough, until you put things into perspective. What would my life look like 10 years from now if I don't make a shift, if I don't change course, right? Until you start thinking about the reflection of what your children see by you settling for something that less than what everybody around you know that you're capable of. You have to make the consequences for you staying stuck greater than the excuses for why you should be staying stuck, right? And I think it all goes back to fear. Fear of failure, fear of change, fear of the unknown, right? And you got to take a Todd Durkin move, baby. You got to start smacking fear around, right? Speaking to it, saying I'm gonna run through this brick wall, come hell or high water, because I refuse to die being stuck on Average Street.
So how does that person start? What does that person do to discover their deepest purpose? What do you think it is that they have to do?
Yeah, so here's what I teach. It's called the DreamDiver's Purpose formula, and it's super simple. The formula is capabilities plus your cause plus your solution equals your purpose. Capabilities plus your cause plus your solution equals your purpose, right? So what are your capabilities? Your skills and your talents. Skills being the things that you learn how to do and master. Talents being the things that God blessed you with the day you took your first breath, right? Your cause, which is what a lot of people refer to as your why. What are the things that have happened in your life? There are two things that most people's purpose is rooted in. The thing that almost broke you to a point that you couldn't come back from, and that you have finally overcome, or something that inspires you so much that you don't want to see people in life go without this thing. So it's something that either literally almost broke you, or something that inspired you so much that you don't want to see people around you not have this thing in their life, right? So I call that your cause, right? The thing that you're connected to the most, that you're like, man, if nobody ever paid me, if my money was straight, if I didn't have to work for money, I would show up for this cause every single day. Like for me, right, you put a camera in my hands, or you put a client in front of me, or you give me a microphone, I'll do this butt naked with socks and shoes on, hungry, because this is what I know I was born to do. You could, whether you pay me $1 or $1 million, I'm still coming with the same fire, whether it's a camera, a lens, a mic, I'm coming with the same fire because I'm connected to it, because I lived it. I lived not knowing what I was born to do. I walked around in my 20s, in my teens, feeling like I was nobody. Like I know what that feels like to be a husband and not have something for your wife to be able to say, my husband is great at this. I know what it feels like to be a father and your kids not be able to say, well, my dad is great at this. I know what that feels like. So when I sit in front of somebody who is lost, stuck, and miserable, I know how to get to that place because I lived that, right? And so your purpose is connected to something that either A, broke you and you've overcome it, or B, inspired you and you want to help people get that. And the last part of it is solution, right? What solution do you want to help people get as a result of your skills, talents, and your cause, right? Whether you're going to create a business to do this, or whether you're going to be a part of a purpose-driven, mission-driven business like Fitness Quest 10 or Todd Durkin Mastermind or 412 Studios or the DreamDiver Company. And so when you put those together, it gives you a purpose or a mission statement for your life that will help you stay the course. It's your true north. It's your North Star. And so my definition of purpose is the one thing that you were put on this earth to do, to serve other people. Your purpose never has anything to do with you. And though your purpose may take on many different vehicles, many different forms, man, your mission statement never changes. It doesn't matter what tool you use. It will always be geared to accomplishing this one thing. So that's what I would say to people. Those are some of my quick, coaching steps for you. If you're out there listening and you're like, man, I'm stuck, my money is good, right? My life is good, but my heart, my soul is dying because I'm out of place. And here's the truth, TD. We spend more time in our place of work than we do anywhere else in life. We are more married to our job and our profession than we are to the person that we married. It's just data, right? And so if you're not working in the area of your purpose, you're literally killing yourself. Literally, because you're married to that thing. And so your profession, your job should be a part of who you are, so that when you go to work, it's fulfilling the mandate on your life.
Yep. Well, and if you remember our discussions, Ira, back in the day when we were doing all of our work on the whiteboard and you were having me do those written exercises all the way back to childhood, you had childhood to 18 and then adulthood. Really, the reason why we started working together was because for me, when I did my soul searching, on the outside world, I was like, man, you just got off the show, and the show didn't even air yet. People didn't even know what I was about to do. But deep down, I was like, there's more in the tank. And I gotta find a way to go to another level. And when I talk about, going from good to great, everything was good, but I was looking for more. I was looking for deeper purpose. I was looking for, as we call it, the juice that was going to allow me to continue to go deep. And when we created that MindRight Maniac series, that was giving me juice to serve more people. And by serving more people and impacting more people, that was the juice that was like, okay, dang, we're on the right track. And I think right now, especially as we record this is a really important time in our world's history to find the juice. We got to find the juice. Well, how the heck do you find your juice when everything around you is misery? And it's like, man, guess what? What Ira is telling you and what he's an advocate of is if there's ever a time, it's now. Now is the time to find that juice. You have no excuses like when it comes to your dream. And you could say, well, it's money or I lost my job or I'm stuck in my job or this or that. But the bottom line is when you do work on yourself and you have a coach, just like I've always had a coach, and someone helps you pull it out of you, like literally like, what are you made of? What are you going to go to the grave with? What are you about? And you write it down and you live it and you say yes to those dreams. Then you're more likely to live in harmony and with purpose and conviction because of what you're doing on a daily basis. And Ira Davis, that's what you do. And that's what for the last almost 5 years now, you've helped me with. And why does it matter, by the way, for you? Why does it matter for you that people are living by, I'll call it divine purpose or their God-sized dream? Why do you care so much about it?
Man, let me go back to what you just said, and then I'm going to answer that question. Right now, it's a purpose-demic. It's the purpose-demic right now.
I like that.
There's never been a greater time in the history of your life and my life for you to reinvent who you are, period. There are no excuses. The world has stopped, period. So there are no excuses on why you can't reinvent yourself. Literally being locked in. Quarantine has been a gift. It should have been a gift for you, right? And I'm not discounting the people who are sick. I'm not discounting the people who may have died. But what I'm doing is if you are healthy, this is an opportunity for you. God has blessed you. There is a bow on this quarantine for you. Just like Todd was quarantined to his chair when he went through knee surgery. That was a gift in the pain, right? There's a gift in this pain that you need to flip. You need to reinvent yourself and say, I was a lawyer, but I'm supposed to be a speaker. I was the athlete, but I'm supposed to be an author. This is your time for you to say, I'm going to work on me. I'm going to pour everything out that I was made of that was wrong, and I'm going to rebuild the way that I'm supposed to be. So this right now is the perfect time. There are no excuses. Where do you have to be other than in front of your screen, in front of a book, investing into the next 5 to 10 years of your life? That job you lost, it was a blessing, right? That career you may have got a detour from, that was a blessing. That time you have now, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with the gauntlet? I'm laying the gauntlet right now. What are you going to do with this time besides for complain about the politics of it, the mask of it? What are you going to do? If you come out of this quarantine the same way that you went in, you failed. You failed. And I don't care if you're already living on purpose, already diving for your dreams. If you didn't go 10 steps higher, you failed. Because there's nothing but time, space, and opportunity for you to do what you were called to do at a greater capacity. So what was the question you just asked, Todd? I'm sorry. Man,
mark that tape. I don't even know the question, but mark that tape, my friends. A purpose-demic. I like that right there. And the question, by the way, Ira, but I was like fired up. I'm like taking copious notes over here myself. But it was, why does it matter so much for you that people have a God-sized dream?
Yep, it matters because, and here's a quote I say all the time. A man or woman without a dream is a man or woman without direction for their life. A man or woman without a dream is a man or woman without direction for their life. A dream gives you something to aim for. And if you have nothing to aim for, you are literally just existing. You're meandering around until the time you take your last breath. A dream gives you something to lock in on, period. It gives you a reason for growth, a reason to invest into yourself. It gives you a reason for waking up and breathing and existing. And so it matters to me because as I was looking at the data, the World Health Organization says over 300 million people worldwide are living in depression. Over 300 million people worldwide are living in depression. And some of that is, scientific based. But the other part is most people in the world are not in their purpose and they have no dream. right? And so if you're not working in the area of your purpose, you're going to be depressed because you're spending the majority of your time chasing a check for your rent, for your mortgage, right? And so there's nothing wrong with making money, but if that's the reason why you wake up, you are not connected to the thing and the source and the reason for your existence. So for me, Todd, I got tired of walking around looking at everybody like I was in the scene of The Walking Dead. Like literally, I got tired of watching zombies walk around me every single day. And when God gave me the title, the responsibility, it's not a title. When he gave me the responsibility, the chief dream diver, it was the equivalent of God saying, I'm making you a lifeguard for people who are drowning in nothingness. I'm making you a lifeguard for people who need somebody to throw them a lifeline and show them that there is something incredible inside of them, whether they're the purpose-driven entrepreneur or the purpose-driven entrepreneur. I have something greater for them to do in their lives, and I'm sending you on a global mission with every tool that you can touch to go rescue people who are the walking dead, who are literally doing nothing with their lives except for trying to get a check so they can pay Verizon. That's why it's important to me.
Can y'all see right now why the heck I love Ira Davis so much? Y'all like, I got to follow this guy. Yes, you do. You need to follow this guy. You need to find out all that he's doing because he's doing a lot. Ira, if you could speak to that one man or woman today who is in the shoes that you were at many years ago when you were down, you're depressed, and this pandemic has crushed their spirit. They're down and they hear you and like, yes, I want to have that dream, but they are in such a quagmire right now. If there's something that you could say to them, what would it be?
I'll tell you like this. It's time for you to imagine the possibilities for your life. Whenever something like this happens, God is trying to literally, he has allowed something to break you so he can rebuild you. And if it didn't come to break you, you would continue on the same path, leading you nowhere. And so for me, God literally had to switch the train to a new track for me, because if he wasn't, I would probably be on my 17th year as a Marine, living stuck and unfulfilled, 2 years or 3 years away from retirement, right? Which is what I was chasing. There was no fulfillment. There was nothing there. I was just chasing an early retirement. And so God had to come in and say, no, you're far greater than what you think. And I'm going to change the channel for you without destroying you completely. It might feel like you've been destroyed, but give it 2, 3, 4, 5 years and wait. You're going to have a mic in your hand. You're going to have a camera in your hand. You're going to have a dream team who follows you everywhere. And so you may find yourself sitting somewhere in a cold room on a hard stool with nobody around you, nothing but tears and tissue. But I'm telling you right now, if you are willing to look deeper, what feels like the end of the world is the beginning of a new world for you. Because anytime you hit rock bottom, we hear it all the time, the only way to go is up. You can't go down. The only way is to go up, but you have to make a choice. You can stay there or you can get up and get to fighting. And so I had to make a decision. I can't stay here because I know I was destined to do something greater. And what I have, you see it behind me. You can't see it here. You can't see it in my room, but I have about 1 million books in my house. 1 million books and I'm being facetious, but I have a gajillion books in my house because I made a decision that come hell or high water, I was going to become who I was supposed to be. And every answer that I needed has been in the form of a coach, a mentor, a video, a podcast, or a book, right? You might not be able to afford to be coached by Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett, doggone it, made millions of books and they're in the library. You can be coached by Warren Buffett. Everything you need is a page away. It really is. And so there are no excuses. And you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. And for that reason, I have a book for it. And so I'm telling you right now, where you are right now, all you have to do is make a decision that I am going to invest into getting up from where I am. And you start by one prayer a day, by one inspirational speech a day, by one podcast a day, by one page a day, by one music session, right, where you're meditating. You start every day, man. You just got to put one foot in front of the other. And now I'm 6 years removed from being forced out of the Marine Corps, and my life does not look like anything that I thought it would look like when I got that notice that said you got 3 months to get to stepping.
Wow. Ira, the other person I would say that maybe you left out there that when you're at the depths of despair was your therapist. Because that therapist played a really important role, right? Like if you're down in the dumps right now, you could have a coach, a mentor, a teacher, but Ira also had a therapist that he said he went to session after session after session, who actually ended up being a huge catalyst in his life. So if you need professional help, never undermine the strength of a professional, a doctor, a physician, a trained therapist on that, because it was that therapist's word, right, Ira, that actually gave you the little bit of glimmer of hope in life, that you weren't defined by the Corps. And by the way, thank you for your service to our country, Ira, and to all the servicemen and women who are listening in today. Thank you. But it was that one conversation that said, you're not defined by just what you've done. And there's a whole life in front of you that you can transform yourself as well. So am I right on that?
No, you're spot on that. And those were almost his exact words. He said to me, the Marine Corps was not a fit for your character. And so you've been fighting a fight to fit the mold when you are not this mold. You are made of inspiration. The Marine Corps is about brute force and following orders because I said so. He said, but your style of leadership, your style of what you do is so far outside of the box that the Marine Corps was just a stepping stone to get you to where you're supposed to be. And so we talk about a coach, we talk about a mentor. Well, that therapist was my introduction to the world of coaching. Wow. And I had no idea, like before this whole industry of coaching and mentorship, I didn't even know it existed, right? So that therapist for me was my introduction to having a personal coach who was able to not tell me what to do, but show me what was available based on what he saw in me.
Yeah. Ira, this is a deep question, and if it's too personal, then certainly let me know, but I want to ask it. There must have been months or years that when you were going through that and getting essentially kicked out of the Corps, you're like, why was I so stringent or tough on those recruits? Do you ever look back now and you're thankful for the fact that how it all transpired, that you're grateful? The fact that, like, then you probably beat yourself up. Like, why did I treat people like this? And that was part of, I'm sure, the culture and all. But do you ever look back now after beating yourself up for so many years and you're grateful for the way it's all worked out?
Man, I'm super grateful. Like, I thank God that this happened the way it happened. It had to happen. It had to happen, or I would have forfeited the assignment on my life, period. It had to happen, hands down. Like, the only thing I ever wanted to do in my life prior to me being who I am now was be a Marine Corps drill instructor.
Interesting.
And it took me 8 years to get to that duty. And I was so good at it. Like, I could see other drill instructors who had been down there for 3 years. I could see them do something with their recruits and I could turn around and do it. And people would look at me like, bro, you only been down here for 2 weeks. I had the respect of my peers. It was ridiculous. You know, most of the time a new drill instructor goes through this phase, you know, you got to be initiated. You know how that goes, right? On any new team or whatever. But because they saw that I picked it up by osmosis, they treated me with such love and respect. And so I was heartbroken when it ended. But when God showed me what he was doing and why he was doing it, I said, man, you are the greatest director of the story of my life. And I'm glad that you have the script and not me.
So you stayed obedient in your faith throughout this probably desolate time where you felt isolated. You felt like you were alone. You felt like maybe you had no purpose. You were praying the whole time that you would find some divine intervention.
Yeah, absolutely. And it almost happened almost instantaneously. It took me from videography to being an actual documentary filmmaker. God was like, nope, I didn't call you to stand behind a camera, point and shoot. I called you to create documentaries that will inspire people to die for their dreams. I was like, okay. He was like, I want you to create a production company. I was like, okay, cool, here we go. Then he said, nope, you're not just that. You're a speaker coach. I want you to create a media and coaching company. I was like, okay. Then he told me to pull back about 6 months ago. And he said, now look at what I've done in your life. You are not just a director, producer, speaker, coach, podcast host. You are a dream development coach. That's the seed of who I've called you to be. The fruit from that seed of being a dream development coach are films, are podcasts, are books, are coaching. And I was like, wow. And so God was like, man, there's some things that I've been trying to reveal to you about you that I can only do it by letting you taste a little bit. Like do a little film on Todd Durkin. Do a little coaching with Todd Durkin, right? Do a little coaching with some other people. Do a couple of group coaching. Do a couple of speaking engagements. Now we're going to pull it all together and show you anything that you touch. I've given you a mandate to blow people's hearts out of their chest, to remind them of what I put on the inside of them. I was like, wow.
Well, that's amazing. And Ira, I'm going to end with this. When it comes to, I don't want to say what's next, but I know you're working on some big things. I know you've got a new revolutionary documentary network for people who want to live inspired. We talked about that, and people that want to live their dreams. But what is next for Ira Davis? I mean, you've got a lot going on. You've certainly impacted a lot of people, and I wanted you to be on the podcast today. So hopefully I can take your vision and hopefully amplify it to my community, because you have helped me create a deeper community myself. So what is it that Ira Davis is working on? And I know if you can touch on that documentary network, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, man. So that's the big move right now is my team and I, both my production company and my media and coaching company, we both have the same mission. So it's kind of like Fitness Quest 10 and Todd Durkin Enterprises, right? It's sister companies working together to accomplish the same goal. Our main focus right now is my new documentary network that's hopefully coming next year sometime, called DreamDiver TV, which is going to be a revolutionary streaming documentary network for people like you and I and the listeners who say, man, I'm tired of watching garbage TV, aka Netflix, aka Hulu, aka Amazon Prime. I want a network that is designed to inspire me to get up off of my butt and to go create what I've been called to do, period. Like when I get done watching the Todd Durkin documentary that brings me into his life, that shows me what he is to his children, to his wife, to his business partners, to his clients, I want to get off of this film, go get my laptop. Don't bother me. I'm going to work. I got something to do. That is what DreamDiver TV is designed to do. It is to just do it for those of us who have a God-sized dream, period. It's going to be original films, original docuseries, original content. It's going to be a place, an oasis, a lighthouse for people who say, I've read your book. I've listened to your podcast. I saw your YouTube video. But I want to go behind the third wall, and I want to come into your life. Show me what it looked like when you were broke, busted, and disgusted, and you hit rock bottom and you climbed out. Those are the films that we want to make for people who say, man, I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I know I was put here for more. I know my dream is big. I don't care if I'm an athlete, an entertainer, a comedian, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a teacher. I know I was put here to make an impact in people's lives, and I want a streaming documentary network that's going to feed my soul. So that's what we're working on right now.
Love it.
And so
Impact TV meets DreamDiver Network. Wow. The world's going to change. The world's going to change.
And that's what we're working on. So right now, man, listen, I have an opportunity for people who say, man, I have a story. I'm living in my purpose. I'm diving for my dreams. I've overcome insurmountable odds. If you are that person who's listening right now, and you live here in Southern California, and you think that we need to put our lens on you and your story to help other people get to where they need to be, email me, please. support@dreamdiver.co. Just like it sounds, you see it on my shirt, DreamDiver, just how it says, support@dreamdiver.co. I want to know what your story is, how you're living your purpose, how you're living your dreams, and we're going to hop on the phone and we're going to figure out if I can bring my team, my production company, down to where you are to tell your story. Because somebody somewhere is counting on you to do what they were called to do. So if I can put my lens on you and share it with the world, man, I'm telling you right now, we're going to change a lot of people's heart. And in this network, Todd, it's not going to just be the who's. It's going to be Joe next door that you never heard of, who's got a phenomenal story that's going to pump you up. But it's also going to be, God willing, the John Maxwell's of the world. Right? The Oprah Winfrey's of the world who we want to tell their stories. This is going to be the mecca for people who say, I'm about to change the world brick by brick. That's what this is for. So if you got a story like that, whether you're an athlete or a high performer or a fitness entrepreneur or a weekend warrior, whatever, a MindRight Maniac, call me, email me. We're going to make it happen.
And I would say you don't have to live in Southern California, because you can always fly to Southern California, or you could figure out a way, right? Hey, sometimes your dream is so deep that you'll do anything, right, to get the team around you. So Ira Davis, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your thought, your skill, your energy, your transformation. And the last, again, close to 5 years now, what you've done for me and our company, and most importantly, my life and family, is truly unbelievable. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Man, thank you for allowing me to be on this incredible show. I'm your biggest fan. You have no idea. I talk about you probably every day because I see the evolution of not just Todd Durkin, the businessman, but Todd Durkin, the man himself. And I have a great appreciation for everything that goes into being who you are. I got the chance to come behind the third wall with my camera and see it in real time. So it's not just a thing I heard of or I read about. I saw it. I documented it, man. So I appreciate you for just giving me the opportunity, man, to serve alongside of you.
Well, yeah, and you came with the camera at like 3:30 in the morning. Guys, when Ira asked what time you start your day, I'm like, Ira, I don't think you're going to want to be here. He's like, what time you start your day? I'm like, well, about 4 o'clock. He's like, I'll be there at 3:30. I'm like, he's sitting out in the street at 3:30 in the morning. I forgot I was talking to a former, drill instructor in the Marine Corps, and he's ready to start shooting on that stuff. And for several days he did. And it's interesting sometimes when you gotta find a way to get a job done. You think back even a few years ago, he was the guy behind the camera then, but the chief strategist, the chief dream diver, certainly, man, you've come a long way as well. And I think the best is still yet to come for all of us. So I'm pumped for what's happening. Where else can someone follow you if they want to follow your podcast, read about you, social media? Where else can people follow you? Because the more they get of Ira Davis, the better.
Sweet, man. I appreciate it. So if you're a podcast listener on all podcast platforms, it's the Dream Divers podcast, or you can just type in my name, Ira Davis. We're on, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, the whole nine, the Dream Divers podcast. And on that show, we interview some of the greatest purpose-driven entrepreneurs on the planet, figuring out their process, right? How'd you do it? How you go from where you were to where you are. So please check that out. And then on all platforms at dreamdiver.co is our Instagram and Facebook handle at dreamdiver.co. If you want to follow me personally, it's at the Chief Dream Diver on Facebook and Instagram. Would love to connect with you guys, pray for you, pray over you, pray with you, pump you up, and be there to support you as you do what you know you were put here to do.
Man, any final quotes? Lead us with some inspiration. Leave us with something good. Any quotes, phrases, or a little bit of inspiration from Ira Davis about your dreams.
Hey, listen, there's a quote by John Maxwell. It says, I want to make a difference doing something that makes a difference with people that make a difference at a time that makes a difference. If you keep that on the forefront of your mind at all times, you will always be on track to doing what you were put to do. You get one life, period. One life. It is your time to do what you were put here to do, because somebody around the world needs to hear your mouth. They need to hear your story. They need to hear from your spirit, because you are the miracle that they've been praying for. And so if you're out of place, you are not only prohibiting your blessings and your impact, you are prohibiting somebody from becoming who they're supposed to be. If Todd was not in his position, so many of you listening right now would be missing out on the miracle that is Todd Durkin, right? And so if you're saying, but I can't, but I don't know how, listen, you better figure it out quickly, because you being positioned is the exact bridge that somebody else needs to get their breakthrough, man. Connect with great people like Todd. If you aren't subscribed to this podcast, you are wrong. If you don't have to get your mind right, you are wrong. Don't just get one copy, get 7 copies. I'm telling you right now, you have got to get connected and tapped in, because during this purpose-demic, it's about the people who you are locking arms with. It's about the people who you allow to speak into your ear and into your life. It's about what you're consuming through your eye gate. That's going to take you to a level that you will be unstoppable, even if you don't have the money, resources, or network. If you have that kind of hunger to be who you have been called to be, everything that you need will come as a result of you recognizing who you are and what you were created to do. So, TD, thank you for having me. MindRight Maniacs, you got the greatest leader on the planet, Todd Durkin. Stay right where you are. Stay tuned. Keep it locked. He's got some great things coming. I know he's got some things brewing up for you. So it doesn't matter if the gym is shut down. They can't shut down the earwaves. They can't shut down YouTube. So you better be locked into Todd Durkin all the way, man. Todd, thanks for having me.
Man, Ira, guys, I got to go. I got to go run through a wall right now. So you guys go fire up the universe. Ira, you the man. I'm going to run through a wall right now. Peace. Wow, oh, wow. Was Ira Davis awesome or what? Absolutely over-delivered. You talk about living with a purpose-demic. I love that. You talk about a man who was a Marine Corps drill instructor, overcomes depression, and he allows that to transform his life into what he's doing now as the chief dream diver. Can you do me a favor? If you found value in today's session, please share it. Share it on your social media, share it via email, share it with your friends, colleagues, family members, anyone who needs a dose of inspiration. Please share that. And if you have not, by chance, if you have not given us a 5-star rating, please give the Todd Durkin Impact Show a 5-star rating. And the reviews really help. If you have not written a review, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences long. Something to review the show so that we can continue to climb up the ranks so more and more people can be inspired. One more thing, trainers, coaches, and fit pros. Now is the opportunity to get better. It's July 8th and 9th. 14th and 15th, I'm doing a 4-part webinar series. It's called My Manifesto for the fitness industry. And this fueling for fitness, that's what it's all about right now. It's absolutely free. You're going to get CEUs for it. And if you sign up for free, you're going to get the recordings as well. My friends, all you have to do, sign up. You can sign up in my bio link on Instagram. You can go to my website at todddurkin.com, or it's on Facebook as well. The first episode on business is July 8th. That's Wednesday, July 8th. Take a look at all the details over on my Instagram or Facebook page. Be there. If you're a fitness professional, now is the time to listen to the manifesto so that you can take action on your dreams as well.